Mob Psycho 100 has the most powerful esper in the world as its protagonist. A kid who can bend reality with his mind, destroy buildings with a thought, overpower anyone who challenges him. He's literally god tier in terms of raw power, and he thinks it's completely worthless. Not in a humble way, not in a false modesty way. He genuinely believes that his incredible power has zero value because it's not the right kind of strength. And in showing us why Mob thinks this, the series accidentally created the most devastating critique of toxic masculinity in modern anime. Because Mob's problem isn't that he's weak, it's that he's been taught to value the wrong kind of strength. If this kind of deep dive into anime philosophy interests you, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It really helps the channel grow. And I'm curious, what's your take on how society defines masculine strength? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. Mob has godlike psychic powers. But what does he actually want? To be popular, to be athletic, to get the girl to notice him, to be normal. He doesn't want to be the strongest esper. He wants to be the kind of strong that gets social validation, the kind of strong that makes you masculine in socially approved ways. This is the toxic masculinity trap. Power and strength are only valuable if they're the right kind of power. Physical strength is valuable, social dominance is valuable, but emotional intelligence, kindness, empathy, those don't count as strength even when they're harder to develop and more useful in actual life. Mob can destroy armies, but he can't get a date. And according to the social messages he's internalized, that makes him weak. That makes him a failure as a man. Reigen is the perfect contrast. He has zero psychic power, zero physical strength. By conventional masculine standards, he should be worthless. But Reigen is incredibly strong in ways that actually matter. He's emotionally intelligent. He reads people brilliantly. He talks people down from violence. He protects Mob not through power but through genuine care and manipulation of social dynamics. And society sees him as a con man, a faker, someone to be looked down on. Because his strengths aren't masculine strengths. They're feminine skills repackaged as trickery. The show is asking, what if the skills we dismiss as not real strength are actually more valuable than the skills we celebrate? What if emotional intelligence is harder and more useful than physical dominance? Watch Mob's journey carefully. He doesn't become stronger. He's already absurdly strong. He learns to value different kinds of strength. He learns that being kind isn't weakness, that caring about others isn't soft, that emotional control is harder than emotional explosion, that building relationships requires more strength than destroying enemies. This is revolutionary for a shonen protagonist. Most shonen is about getting stronger, more power, more techniques, more wins. Mob Psycho is about redefining what strength even means. Mob's 100% moments aren't about powering up. They're about emotional breakthroughs. His strongest moments are when he's most vulnerable, most emotional, most human. The show is explicitly saying that emotional authenticity is true strength. There's this arc where Mob tries to improve himself to get Tsubomi to like him. He joins the body improvement club, tries to get fit, attempts to become more socially confident, and it's presented sympathetically, but also critically. Because Mob is trying to fix the wrong things. He thinks he needs to become more traditionally masculine to be worthy of love, but Tsubomi doesn't care about any of that. This is the trap so many men fall into, thinking they need to perform masculinity to be valuable, thinking they need to be physically strong, socially dominant, emotionally stoic, when what most people actually value is authenticity, kindness, emotional availability. The just be confident advice is toxic because it assumes the problem is your presentation, not that you're trying to present something false in the first place. The Body Improvement Club is Mob Psycho's model of healthy masculinity. They're physically strong, traditionally masculine guys, but they're also supportive instead of competitive. They celebrate each other's growth. They don't tear others down to feel strong. They accept Mob even though he's weak physically and awkward socially. They pursue strength for self-improvement, not dominance. They're not trying to be better than others. They're trying to be better than yesterday's version of themselves. They're emotionally open and vulnerable with each other. They share struggles, ask for help, admit when they're struggling. This is what healthy masculinity looks like. Strength without dominance, confidence without arrogance, physical power without emotional repression. Mob Psycho's healthy masculinity is revolutionary because it's so rare in media. Most shows give you two options: traditional toxic masculinity, strong, stoic, dominant, emotionally repressed, or rejection of masculinity entirely, weak, passive, feminine-coded. Mob Psycho offers a third path: masculine without toxic, strong without cruel, confident without arrogant, powerful without dominating. The Body Improvement Club shows you can be physically strong and emotionally available. Mob shows you can be powerful and kind. Reigen shows you can be confident and vulnerable. This shouldn't be revolutionary, but in current media landscape, it absolutely is. One of Mob Psycho's most consistent messages: violence is almost never the answer, even when you're powerful enough that violence would be easy. Mob can destroy anyone who threatens him, but using that power would be giving in to the toxic masculine idea that might makes right, that dominance is strength, that solving problems through force is admirable. Instead, Mob talks to people, tries to understand them, offers them chances to change. This is presented as strength, not weakness. The ability to not use your power is greater strength than using it. This directly challenges the core of toxic masculinity. The idea that real men solve problems through dominance and force. Watch the Mogami arc. Mob is trapped in a world where he's powerless, bullied, tormented. The easy solution would be to use his powers to dominate his tormentors. That's what Mogami expects. That's what toxic masculinity would demand. But Mob refuses. Even when he could destroy them, even when they deserve it, he chooses not to. Because using power to hurt others, even in justified retaliation, is still choosing violence over humanity. This isn't passivity. This is active resistance against the culture that says men must respond to threats with force. Mob Psycho makes a crucial distinction. There's a difference between power and strength. Power is the ability to affect the world, to destroy, to dominate, to control. Mob has unlimited power. Strength is the ability to affect yourself, to grow, to endure, to change. This is what Mob must develop. The show argues that strength is more valuable than power. Power makes you dangerous. Strength makes you admirable. And crucially, power often comes easy, but strength requires work, pain, vulnerability, failure. This reframes masculinity entirely. Toxic masculinity celebrates power, dominance over others. Healthy masculinity celebrates strength, self-discipline, emotional resilience, endurance without cruelty. Reigen has no power. He's a con man pretending to have abilities he lacks. By every shonen metric, he should be worthless. But Reigen does what Mob can't. He navigates social situations brilliantly, diffuses conflicts through words, protects Mob through genuine care. He's emotionally intelligent in ways that actually matter. The show consistently shows Reigen saving situations that Mob's power can't solve, because some problems require empathy, communication, understanding, not force. And here's the kicker: Reigen isn't presented as less masculine for lacking power. He's confident without arrogance, strong-willed without being domineering, caring without being weak. The Toichiro fight is the thesis made explicit. Toichiro represents toxic masculinity perfected. Unlimited power without restraint, dominance as the only goal, might makes right. Mob defeats him not by being more powerful, but by being more human. By refusing to fight on Toichiro's terms. By offering compassion to someone trying to kill him. This is the ultimate statement. Humanity defeats power. Compassion defeats dominance. Emotional strength defeats physical strength. So how do you apply these lessons? First, audit your definition of strength. Are the things you value actually valuable, or just what you've been taught to value? Second, practice emotional literacy. Learn to recognize, name, and express emotions appropriately. Third, redefine confidence as being okay with being bothered, scared, uncertain, and moving forward anyway. Fourth, Build relationships based on authenticity, not performance. Finally, understand you'll be punished for this. Toxic masculinity is self-reinforcing, but the show argues it's worth it anyway. Mob Psycho 100 exposed the toxic masculinity trap by showing us a protagonist who has ultimate power, but has been taught it's worthless because it's not the right kind of power. The show systematically dismantles every toxic masculine value: dominance over cooperation, physical strength over emotional intelligence, stoicism over vulnerability, violence over communication, power over strength. And it replaces them with a healthier model: strength that builds up instead of tears down, confidence that doesn't require dominating others, power that's used to protect rather than control, masculinity that includes emotional authenticity. Mob's journey isn't about becoming stronger in the traditional sense. He's already the strongest. It's about learning to value the strengths he already has, including the soft strengths society tells men don't count. Kindness, empathy, emotional authenticity, care for others, vulnerability. These aren't weaknesses disguised as strengths. They're strengths that society has gaslit men into thinking are weaknesses, because recognizing them as strengths would threaten power structures built on dominance and control. The toxic masculinity trap is believing you need to perform a certain kind of strength to be valuable as a man, that you need to be physically dominant, emotionally stoic, socially aggressive, always in control. Mob Psycho shows you that this performance doesn't make you strong, it makes you fragile, because you're constantly defending an image instead of being a person. You're always one failure away from feeling worthless. Real strength, the kind that actually matters, comes from authenticity. From knowing who you are and being that person consistently, even when it's hard. From choosing compassion when violence would be easier. From being vulnerable when performance would be safer. You don't need to be the strongest. You don't need to perform masculinity for approval. You don't need to dominate others to prove your worth. You need to be authentically yourself, whatever that looks like. And that authenticity, that courage to be genuinely human in a culture that demands men be invulnerable, that's the real 100%. Mob's final lesson is simple but revolutionary. Your worth isn't determined by how well you perform masculinity. It's inherent. You don't need to earn it through strength or dominance or stoicism. You just need to be human. Messy, emotional, vulnerable, kind, authentic human. And that's enough. That's always been enough.